right, what's going on, family? Welcome back to another day. I'm glad you're here. We blessed to be here. I hope you feeling blessed as usual. So, welcome in, climb on the boat. Today, what we're gonna be looking at is Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis first preview. All right, and bear with me. I'm a little tired today, so I'm not doing ain't too much for the extra energy today. But we just here to kick it and take a look at this first preview. I know by no means am I jumping on this early or anything like that, but I figured we take a look together. Either way, got me looking crazy, bro. I got one of them your digs up on my eye. I just woke up like this. I don't know. Must have lost a battle in my sleep or something. But either way, that's not important. Without further ado, let's get right on into.
Gotta say, you captured your good side.
You know what Tomb Raider is. Chances are you've played one of Lara Croft's many adventures, or at least one of the cinematic action adventures that her original 1996 expedition inspired, whether that be the Uncharted, Horizon.
That mission pissed me off so much. You know how long? I probably spent an hour, hey, call it what you will, just running past that same spot because I didn't see the smallest little missing polygon and didn't realize I was supposed to climb up there. There's a whole valley behind there, and I spent so much time just running back and forth from the beginning to the edge of the map, and everything I needed was right there. You gotta
Star Wars Jedi series, but now it's time to go all the way back as Legacy of Atlantis takes us full circle in a reimagining of the story that kick-started an entire genre. We recently had the opportunity to play through its short water puzzle, cartwheel, and dinosaur shootout-filled demo, which certainly felt familiar.
That dodge looked kind of weird. Shit, I don't know how I feel about that dodge because Laura, she's always flipping and shit, and we see there'll be flipping, but I don't know. Other than that, I want to see the gunplay because I really like the sound effects of the guns. I can imagine that on the 5, the haptic feedback, if they, if it that plays out.
Albeit with a
for lack of a better
gorgeous
term.
New lick of paint and more modern tweaks sprinkled in.
This mechanism looks like the waterfall regulator, but clearly it's not working.
It was fun, and we were left in.
That shit gonna be cool. See, that remind me of Legend right there. Imagine the first game you had a gadget that told you where the fuck to go. Anyway, not where to go, but like you just in the dark on the first game.
Intrigued to see how deep this merging of an old story told using a new box of tricks will go when the full game releases next February. 30 years is a long time, especially in the rapidly evolving world of video games, and if you've picked up a controller and attempted to play the original Tomb Raider recently, nothing emphasizes that like how Lara Croft controls. Stiff and heavy, with your thumbs the victim of her sluggish turning circle, Lara's maneuverability resembles that of a transatlantic ocean liner more than an enterprising Atlantis explorer. Thankfully, this remake, co-developed by the series' long-term custodian Crystal Dynamics and newcomer Flying Wild Hog, fixes this. This Lara is light on her feet, with a floaty jump more reminiscent of Princess Peach than Nathan Drake. It takes a little getting used to at first, especially if you've become accustomed to the adhesive-fingered approach that Naughty Dog injected into the action-adventure game, which was the foundation for Tomb Raider's most recent Survivor trilogy.
Stunning.
Actually looks great.
We made it, Dad.
Oh, we gotta add.
This Lara still clings onto some of the old school movement feel of the PS1 original, something that admittedly proved a bit of a struggle during the demo's early moments, but in time we found this freer feeling Lara enjoyable to control, even if her jumps did make us wonder if the Lost Valley in Peru had become some sort of zero-gravity zone. Ultimately, its more old-school influenced approach helps build into the idea that you're truly exploring an environment rather than clambering along a set path. The small area of jungle we were dropped into contained one of the classic cog and water puzzles that Lara has worked her way through dozens of times over the years. Using a full exploration suite of climbing, swimming and grappling around a miniature sandbox, we went in search of the missing machine components that would unlock the giant gate blocking Lara's progress. Helpful here was the brand new grapple gadget that can be fired out of Lara's wrist, Spider-Man style. These are age-old puzzles design-wise, but made modern by smart additions like this grapple. Tweaks such as these...
Actually, the technology you need to like make something like that. I don't know. Compact it into your wrist, bro. Wow, this really display. I forgot I was watching something a while ago. I'll talk. It was something about Spider-Man, like why it would never work in reality, like how his body just... Which I guess defeats the purpose, because obviously he's durable and shit, but the human body wouldn't even be able to fucking swing without dislocating their shoulders and shit. Anyway, off topic.
Tweaks such as these really display Legacy of Atlantis' desire to be more than just a remake, borrowing from the likes of Crystal Dynamics' more recent trilogy and how it approaches Lara's toolkit.
Decoration or spare part?
A further addition is the number of collectibles littered throughout the world and the ability to survey the environment in search of the secrets using Lara's scanner. From what we can tell, Legacy of Atlantis is still a largely linear adventure, but venturing off the main path will reward you with all sorts of treasures, whether they be documents that build out the lore of an ancient civilization, or objects that grant Lara extra skill points. Unfortunately, the skill tree menu was locked off to us in the demo, so we can't tell exactly how we'll be able to tweak her ability.
Okay, so they're keeping the skill tree from the Survivor trilogy.
But its mere existence is again a sign of newfound depth, and that all makes sense because although Legacy of Atlantis is a retelling of the British adventurer's first story, it's actually part of the same universe now as the prequel trilogy that ran between 2013 and 2018.
It's the only
she
thing
landed on her
that
clavicle.
makes sense to me now.
This isn't her first rodeo, and she boasts the skills to show for it. This is best displayed in combat, of which we got a tiny taste after stepping through the huge doorway opened up by the aforementioned cog-finding problem solving. It was on the other side that we were welcomed by a gang of hungry velociraptors, a far
So that looks entirely different. So I imagine most things are going to look, well, I mean, of course they're going to look, I don't know, improved, revamped. They wanted to change some things with the environment, but golly, that entire cog puzzle looks different. So that's just a sneak peek, a little taste of how much is really going to be different in this
more
game.
vicious resident of Peru than Paddington Bear. That's probably for the best though, because the thought of unleashing multiple rounds
Raptors
into one
way
of Britain's
easier, of course.
most adorable imports would have probably led to a lot of crying. Thankfully then, it was the job of one of Britain's most deadly exports to take on these prehistoric menaces instead, dodging, cartwheeling and backflipping out of the way of their deadly lunges.
Got a little bullet time, okay.
Get enough room between them and you, and you'll be able to fire those iconic
I'm not gonna lie.
double pistols that handily come complete with unlimited ammo.
The right way, as they should. Look at that perfect split.
The shooting felt snappy and responsive, but really came alive when
That's what I'm saying. I see PC smooth, but there's certain things about the P5, like that feedback it come equipped with certain fucking games. That feedback be immersing, I'm not gonna lie.
once another new skill up Lara's non-existent sleeves was introduced, the focus system. Look, we don't
Told y'all, man, I'm tired, bro.
have that much footage, so I'm just going to show you all that again, right? Performing well-timed acrobatics
again.
during combat and evading enemies at the right time builds up the focus meter, filling up charges that
Right.
can be used with a quick press of the right bumper. Upon
she
doing
got a
so,
Super
she
Saiyan. We got a bullet time Super Saiyan. We got a skill tree.
stylishly spins into the air and enters bullet time, allowing
We go
on
back
doing
some. I know I
meter,
keep
filling
I keep talking over him, bro. This stuff looks lit. I'm
up
not gonna lie to
charges
you.
that can be used with a quick press of the right bumper. Upon doing so, she stylishly spins into the air and enters bullet time, allowing you to unload full magazines into enemies as they practically freeze in the line of fire. It's a great addition to the action, further bringing these classic fights into the modern age while giving Lara a welcome edge in encounters. We're intrigued to see if more powerful uses of these focus changes await deeper in the game, perhaps where they could be used in a similar way to how Sucker Punch's Ghost series grants you devastating attacks and abilities at the cost of using more than one circle of energy.
I'm gonna have to look at that next. That crossfire seemed kind of cool. I'm gonna see what's to that.
Before we could experiment too much with Tomb Raider's own take on Gun Fu, a rude interruption was made as one of the series' most iconic moments took over the scene. Into the arena stepped a towering T-Rex, which made both Lara and her previous foes flee the scene with haste. We're having to use footage from Anniversary to illustrate this because we weren't given B-roll of the new T-Rex segment, but we can say the sequences under
Had to check something out.
gone a complete facelift, translating the primitive capabilities of the original PlayStation into something entirely more cinematic. Rather than a simple shooting affair, the scene now begins with a playable chase down a treacherous jungle pathway as Lara slides, swings, and clambers to escape its sharp-toothed maw. There's a great sense of peril in the cinematography and effective use of slow motion as Lara slides between the dinosaur's legs, mirrored by a great sense of muddled bewilderment and desperation in the voice of Alex Wilton Reagan, the latest actor to pick up the dual pistols. And partway through this attempted escape is where our time with Legacy of Atlantis ended, as Lara plunged into a river, her rope bridge escape route destroyed by the T-Rex.
Okay.
This cliffhanger concluded a short but varied look at what this latest reboot of Tomb Raider has to offer, and so far it feels like all the necessary ingredients are there. At its core, the design attempts to blend the classic feel of Lara Croft's movement with a more modern approach to combat and exploration.
This figure they're worshipping, could it be Qualopec?
What more could you ask for? We're looking forward to see how all that comes together when Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis arrives on February 12th, 2027 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2. You could play it in the Peruvian jungles, imagine that. For more on Tomb Raider, why not check out our exclusive behind the scenes clip? And for everything else Lara Croft, stick with IGN.
I can only trust you with this.
Okay. All right. Phenomenal. I think that game looked dope, bro. That's a lot more features than I was expecting. So I can only imagine what they have in store for Catalyst. That shit looks... It's too early, bro. I don't know why I'm cussing so much. I'm just a little excited. Let me see. I want to see what the feedback is like on them pistols. I don't know where I'll be running it exactly, but the bullet time looked dope. We'll see what they got for the skill tree. The gadgets we've already expected, the wrist grapple tool and all that. Obviously, they're going to be changing a lot of things from the first game. Apparently, a lot of things are going to be looking entirely different than they did in the original game. But I think, let me see. The graphics, it looks beautiful. It looks amazing. She looks like she's probably going to be smooth to control as of now. See what kind of ninjas, what kind of moves they're going to be throwing at us and whatnot. Maybe that dodge was just another feature of the skill tree. You upgrade and you get, I don't know, stylish dodge or something. I don't know. That's just region. I don't know, looking for examples. But yeah, I mean, you let me know. What stuck out to you in this trailer? What features are you looking forward to? Do any of these features look quirky or do you think don't belong here? Shoot, man. What are you excited for? Because I'm ready to see how smooth it feel. I'm ready to hear them things cracking off in my headset. I want to see how they feel, man. I want to see, you know, what puzzles have changed. I'm definitely looking forward to some dinosaurs. They're clearly highlighting that a lot, but I'm more excited to see, you know, some of the gadgets, how that makes the experience a little bit smoother. I don't know, man. That looked dope. It got me a little bit more hype for the game. I'm ready to get into it. You let me know what you think down below. Hit that like button. It goes a long way. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything here. Let the algorithm know that you want to see me. I'd love to have you again. So, again, go ahead and hit that button. Become an assassin and join the nation today. Appreciate your time. And as always, y'all take care and stay blessed. I'm out.